Hello, this is Alan welcoming you to the 2098th edition of the Enfield Talking newspaper, Dateline 25th of May 2017. The readers this week are Sonia, Jenny, Roz, myself and Dorothy, with Ian on the controls. The editor was myself, and the production and distribution team is Keith, Phillip, Joan and Jean. Now you might be surprised to know that our title music is Country Rock Polka, and it's composed by Pat Prier, Fernand Bouillon, Harry Breuer. It's performed by Jean-Jacques Perret and is used with his kind permission. The local news stories that we will be reading come from our local newspapers, the Enfield Gazette and Advertiser and the Enfield Independent, and are their copyright. The event's information has been collated by us from other sources. Local news headlines this week include Spurred to Act, Early Intervention Can Help Tackle Knife Crime, Homophobic Attack Leaves Car Owner Fearing for His Life, and Last Orders. Before the news, we have a special item, but first of all, the sunrise and sunset times for tomorrow, the 26th of May, our sunrise is at 04:56, almost 5 a.m., and sunset 20:58, nearly whatever that is. Here's a notice from Enfield Vision. The next forum meeting will take place on Monday the 5th of June at Park Avenue Disability Centre, and it'll be on from 7 p.m. until 9 p.m. The speaker will be Susan from Deaf Blind UK. The AGM of Enfield Vision will take place on Monday the 3rd of July at Park Avenue Disability Centre, and that will start at 7 p.m. Limited transport will be available. Do get in touch with us to share your own news and any special announcements. We love to hear from you. If you have any comments about the Enfield Talking newspaper, please phone Diane de Jersey on 020 8805 6578. She is, of course, your listener's representative and will be pleased to help you. Now, Sonia will read the first item of local news. Here comes Sonia.
Spurred to act. Plans by Tottenham Hotspur Football Club to further develop Greenbelt land by expanding the modern 77-acre training ground it has occupied since 2012 faced protests when the latest proposals were due to be considered by Enfield Council on Tuesday evening. The Premier League club wants to build an education facility with classrooms and a nature reserve for outdoor-based learning, plus a top-level multi-use floodlit sports pitch, parking for coaches, and stands for up to 500 spectators on the protected land. The latest scheme includes boardwalks, wildflower walks, and meadows and ponds, as well as pitches and stands, on land off Whitewebs Lane, Enfield, west of Hotspur Way. The club hit a snag in 2015 when it tried to expand the training ground, but were halted by ecologists who found great-crested newts and grass snakes living on the site, as well as colonies of long-eared and common pipistrelle bats in a barn which had been earmarked to be bulldozed. The decision of last night's Council Planning Committee as to whether to grant or refuse the application came too late to meet the advertiser's deadline. One of those opposed to the scheme is 65-year-old Jill Simpson, who was due to speak against the proposals at the meeting. Miss Simpson, of nearby Maiden's Bridge Cottages, said, "They've done a lot of good things for children who like football, but it's the principle of the matter. Why should they be able to build on Greenbelt land when nobody else is allowed to?" It's because they are a huge company and can get away with it. The football club will get their way, I know that, but I can't stand by and do nothing. Even though I hate speaking in public, my conscience will not let this go. The club partly attributes its recent success to its state-of-the-art training facility, which includes a covered artificial pitch, world-class player preparation areas, a pool and hydrotherapy complex, an altitude room, a large-scale gymnasium, and specialist sports rehabilitation suites. A Spurs spokesman said the nature reserve would be managed by Capel Manor College in Bullsmore Lane and would offer a dedicated education programme designed and delivered in consultation with teachers from Enfield and linked to the national curriculum. Club chairman Daniel Levy said, "The location of the club's training centre has provided us with an unrivalled and unique opportunity to deliver something truly outstanding for the young people of Enfield. Through our Section 106 commitments in Enfield, we have already been able to engage and enhance the lives of thousands of young people from across the borough. This facility represents a sustainable, long-term investment into the next generation and will ensure school children from across the area will be able to study and enjoy nature and the countryside right in the area in which they live."
Early intervention can help tackle knife crime. Home Secretary Amber Rudd said there was no silver bullet to tackling knife crime when she visited Enfield on Monday, but early intervention in primary schools was crucial. During her meeting with the Borough Commander, Detective Chief Superintendent Ian Raphael, Miss Rudd was reassured that the police had the right tools to break the link of stabbings. "He was very clear that they have a strategy," said Miss Rudd. "They have their own plans which they formulated with the Commissioner, both London-wide and locally, with 2 separate operations." Miss Rudd said she was reassured by the police chief that they had the right resources, which involved a compilation of different things. However, she said the issue needed to be targeted at grassroots level by educating primary and secondary school children. "There's more we can do about getting into schools earlier, telling young people about the dangers of carrying knives and how they can protect themselves and why they shouldn't get into that culture," she said. She followed the meeting with a visit to North Enfield Conservative Club in Baker Street, where she discussed the issues with Nick Dubois, the Tories' prospective parliamentary candidate for Enfield North. Mr Dubois spearheaded Enfield's law to deter young people from carrying knives with the 2 strikes and out legislation, which was passed through Parliament before he lost in the 2015 general election. When we pressed the Borough Commander on having the right resources, he was very clear that they have the territorial support group working on issues here in the borough, said Mr Dubois. That involves maintaining the level of officers to provide the extra visibility which people are understandably now looking for. Miss Rudd also met Yvonne Lawson, who set up the Godwin Lawson Foundation to tackle youth crime, following the fatal stabbing of her 17-year-old son in 2010. Mrs Lawson discussed the need to make workshops on knife crime part of the school curriculum. Schools need to be aware of the need to educate young people, she said. They need to be taught how to keep safe, which is a step forward in tackling the issue. She said that Miss Rudd's visit highlighted the need for urgent action to be taken against knife crime. We needed more acknowledgement from a higher level, she added. Miss Rudd's visit followed a 20-minute phone conversation between Mr Dubois and Prime Minister Theresa May last Friday. An emergency meeting is being held tonight, Wednesday, at St James's Parish Church in Hertford Road, Enfield Highway, when Enfield Police will discuss stabbings in the borough with residents.
Homophobic attack leaves car owner fearing for his life. Rampaging mobs wielding knives and hammers have caused thousands of pounds worth of damage to an Enfield man's Mercedes in what he believes is a homophobic attack. 6 youths wearing hoodies to hide their faces launched a frenzied attack on Nicholas Marion's car in the early hours of Tuesday morning last week. The whole thing, caught on CCTV, only lasted about 30 seconds, but the mindless vandals slashed every tyre, smashed the windscreen and tagged the doors and bonnet of his company car. Mr. Marion of Bressy Avenue, Enfield Town, is so scared he hasn't left his house since and is planning to move from the area. He said, "I'm in fear of my life. I have no idea why this has happened other than it being some kind of homophobic attack. I'm a gay man and feel that this could possibly lead to another form of attack on my life, and no one could even care. I'm scared they will come back. The fact they're walking around with knives and hammers in the middle of the night is really frightening, especially with all these stabbings going on. I'm going to sell up and move. I just don't feel safe anymore." A police spokesman said, "Police in Enfield are investigating an allegation of criminal damage. The offence happened at about 3:30 a.m. on Tuesday, May the 16th, in Bressy Avenue. 6 people wearing hoodies attacked a red Mercedes car which was parked in the street. The attackers slashed the car's tyres, attacked the windscreen and sprayed the car with paint, and then they made off. There have been no arrests and police inquiries continue. Any witnesses or anyone with any information is being asked to call the police on 101 or via Twitter at METCC. To give information anonymously, contact Crime Stoppers by calling 0800 555 111 or online at crimestoppersuk.org.
Enfield Chamber Orchestra Summer Concert. Saturday the 17th of June, 7:30 p.m. Enfield Baptist Church, Cecil Road, Enfield, EN2 6TG. Ticket prices £12, £10 concessions, children under 16 free. Concert by Enfield Chamber Orchestra, conductor Martin Smith. Programme to include Bach, Brandenburg Concerto No. 4 with soloists Sarah Colley, violin, Jane McNeil and Adrian Wilson, recorders, and Haydn, Symphony No. 100 in G, military. For more information or to buy tickets, visit the www.enfieldchamber.org.uk. info@enfieldchamber.org.uk or call 020 8360 4980.
Campaigners have had their hopes of saving a Victorian pub from being developed into flats dashed. The Falcon in South Street, Ponders End, is in the process of being demolished after developers received planning permission from Enfield Council in February to turn the site into flats. An application was made by the Enfield Society for it to be designated an asset of community value and was submitted after planning approval was granted and was too late for it to gain AVC status before the deadline expired. Ponders End resident Edwina Osborne, who is a member of the Enfield Society, applied on behalf of the group last Friday in an attempt to protect the heritage of the pub, which dates back 300 years. But under new rules in the Town and Country Planning General Permitted Development Order, the submission was too late to halt demolition work. A council spokesman said, "The changes in legislation to the Town and Country Planning General Permitted Development Order came into force yesterday. while these new powers would mean that in future the council would have more control over the loss of public houses, both in terms of change of use and demolition, unfortunately work that has already commenced under the current provision is unaffected and can continue. In other words, we cannot use these new powers to retrospectively stop demolition, and, as such, the redevelopment of the Falcon Pub site cannot be halted. John West, committee member from the Architectural and Planning Group at the Enfield Society, expressed his disappointment. "It's a terrible loss," he said, "but not entirely unexpected, because it was picked up later than was wise. But it's easy to be wise after the event." "Hindsight is a wonderful thing," added the 64-year-old of Cranford Avenue, Palmer's Green. "It seems very sad to lose a building that was connected to Ponders End, which was once a very thriving area in the 60s and 70s. There's been a pub on that site for 300 years.
Property Lettings Agency wins top award. Castle's letting agency made their debut this year at the prestigious Esters and were thrilled to win Best Letting Agency for North London, as voted by the customers themselves. The Esters are the highest accolade the estate agency industry can offer, with estate and letting agents and mortgage brokers being recognised in 23 UK regions. So Castle's winning gold in the category of North London Letting Agents 2017 received an honour. Castles pride themselves on excellent customer service, attention to detail, and being customer focused, and this award reflects their demonstration of those values. The uniqueness of the Esters lies in the fact that it boasts using solely customer feedback to determine the winners. The general public are engaged by asking them a series of questions about the service they have received from their agent, with over 340,000 surveys being completed in 23 regions around the UK prior to the awards ceremony. Simon Brown, founder of the Esters, said, "We live in a world where the consumer decision-making process is influenced more and more by customer reviews. As a result, the Esters provides a kite mark of excellent service for any property professional involved in the home moving process." The event was attended by more than 1,000 industry professionals at the Grosvenor House Hotel, Park Lane. And Castles are one of the sponsors of an event this weekend. The letting agency is co-sponsor with Vivian's Dress Shop of Holloway. The event is the Enfield Pageant of Motoring in its 40th year now, taking place from Saturday the 27th to Monday the 29th of May at the Enfield Playing Fields, Great Cambridge Road, A10, Enfield, EM1 3PL. The event opens at 9 o'clock every day. Admission is £10. Under 15s are free if they are accompanied, and there is free parking. There's a motorcycle display, as well as the hundreds of classic cars, a large auto jumble, a fairground, and various bands. For all inquiries, call 0208 367 1898 or look at the White Webs Museum website, www.whitewebsmuseum.co.uk.
Labour swept to victory in last week's council by-election in Enfield Lock. Elif Erbil retained the seat left vacant by the resignation of Ozzy Uzunyaya, declaring it an overwhelming victory. The result last Thursday evening saw Miss Oble elected with 2,155 votes, with Conservative candidate Christine Bellas trailing in second place with 973 votes. The turnout was 32.21%. Speaking after her triumph, Miss Oble said, "I know from talking to so many local residents on the doorstep that they are deeply concerned about the rise in violent crime, particularly following the recent wave of stabbings in the borough. Since 2010, under the Conservatives, Enfield has lost almost 200 police officers and police community support officers. These cuts have put the safety of our community at risk. So now I've been elected, my number one priority is to work together with residents, the police, the council, Joan Ryan, Enfield North Labour general election candidate, and the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, to get more police on our streets to help cut crime." The Green Party's Kate McGregor secured third place with 104 votes, while UKIP, who won 829 votes in the ward in the local elections 3 years ago, were relegated to fourth place, with Gary Robbins gaining just 91 votes. The Liberal Democrats, who did not stand in 2014, fared badly, with Richard Morgan Ash receiving only 54 votes. There were 17 spoilt ballot papers. Miss Oble joins fellow Enfield Lock ward councillors Nika Kiza and Crystal Fonyonga, Enfield Council's cabinet member for community safety and public health, on the Labour benches.
Motorists on the M25 were left astonished by the bad driving of hairdresser Ismail Duran. In a bid to get through the slow-moving traffic, he weaved from lane to lane, forcing other drivers to swerve out of his way. In the end, the inevitable happened, and as he swung his silver Ford Focus into a gap in front of a lorry, there was a collision of his vehicle, and it smashed into the front wing of the truck. Then, after pulling up on the hard shoulder to remonstrate with a woman driver, Duran, 20, drove off, only to suddenly stop and then reverse at the speed back unfolded at St Albans Crown Court today, when Duran of Brimsdown Avenue, Enfield, pleaded guilty to dangerous driving and perverting the course of justice. Prosecutor Jan Hain said the defendant's bad driving had occurred on the evening of Friday, July the 10th last year, between junction 22 and exit for St Albans and junction 23 for the exit for the A1M. Traffic was moving at around 30 miles per hour. The court was told, but Duran was driving a lot faster as he weaved from lane to lane, undertaking jumping into gaps and tailgating. Other drivers were having to take avoiding action to get out of his way, and the Ford Focus eventually hit the lorry. Miss Haynes said a woman who had seen the crash pulled up on the hard shoulder, as well as the lorry driver and Duran. The defendant was anxious to leave, and when the woman pointed out that if he did so, it would be an offence, he told her, "F off, my dad is ill in hospital." Judge John Plumstead, hearing the case, was told Duran did indeed leave the scene by driving off on the hard shoulder. But moments later he was seen to brake and then reverse his car aggressively back along the hard shoulder, stopping just in front of the woman's vehicle. He then drove off a second time and joined the motorway as he continued his journey. The court heard police were able to trace the defendant, and in due course he received a notice of intended prosecution through the post, which he was required to fill in a return. But, said Miss Hayne, Duran gave false details in the hope he would wriggle out of any trouble he was in. The court then heard Duran had planned to open his first barber shop in Buntingford, but the conviction and loss of his licence had been the business had floundered before it even got going. His story about his dad being ill in hospital on the night of the crash was also a lie. Judge Plumstead gave him a 15-month sentence, for which was suspended for 21 months, and banned him from driving for the next 3 years. It He was also made the subject of a 6-month home curfew between the hours of 9 p.m. and 4 a.m. and was ordered to pay prosecution costs of £1,200. The judge told him, "I don't know what planet you were on that day." He told Joan in colliding with the lorry he had been at risk of going into a spin in fast-moving traffic, which could have resulted in absolute carnage. Joan was told that instead of facing up to what he'd done, he then tried to lie his way out of trouble. And the roads of North London and South Hertfordshire will be much safer for not having you on them.
Hurt Heavy Horse Show. Sunday the 4th of June, 10 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Capel Manor Gardens, Ballsmore Lane, Enfield, EN1 4RQ. Enjoy a family day of nostalgia and living heritage at Capel Manor Gardens with different breeds of heavy horse participating in the Hurt Heavy Horse Show. Throughout the day, different classes will be judged for heavy horse breeds, heavy horses in harness, heavy horses ridden, heavy horses with agricultural implements, vehicles and trade vehicles. There will be a farrier offering specialist advice, and you will also be able to enjoy dray rides, Capel's Gardens and Animal Collections, an obstacle course competition, dog agility display, stalls and refreshments. Please call Capel Manor Gardens for further information on 0303 003 1234.
Tributes have been paid following the death of Charlie Smith, the man Friday of the celebrated botanist Edward Augustus Bowles, who created the marvellous Middleton House Gardens in Bull's Cross, Enfield. Mr. Smith, who suffered a fatal heart attack at the age of 97, was not only personal gardener to E.A. Bowles until the Victorian plantsman's death in 1954, he was also his chauffeur and office assistant. He was one of several Bowles boys, local lads from poor families whom the botanist and philanthropist took under his wing and helped with their education. After being demobbed at the end of World War II, Mr. Smith, who was born in Goats Lane, Enfield, and later lived for many years in Beaconsfield Road, Enfield Lock, was invited by E.A. Bowles to work at Middleton House. When Mr. Bowles died, he left Mr. Smith the princely sum of £150 a year for the rest of his life in his will. It was known as the Parker Bowles Annuity, and Mr. Smith was the last surviving recipient among the 7 servants who received it. From 1954 onwards, Middleton House Gardens was bought and run jointly by the Royal Free Hospital School of Medicine and the London School of Pharmacy, who turned the kitchen garden into a medicinal garden. Mr. Smith's work included highly secretive research into the benefits of drugs to relieve pain, and he was one of the few people in the UK granted a license to grow cannabis and opium poppies. He later rose to become head gardener in 1970, a post he held until 1985 when he retired at the age of 65. A few weeks later, he was persuaded to return to the kitchen garden, where he remained for a further 15 years with an assistant until the medicinal garden and adjoining sports fields were sold to the Lee Valley Regional Park Authority in 2000. Charlie was the last remaining direct link with the garden's famous ancestor, and was a fountain of knowledge about E.A. Bowles, said present head gardener James Hall. Historian and Bowles biographer Brian Hewitt himself a gardener at Middleton House since 1983, also paid tribute. Charlie knew so much, and he was always so willing to share information about those times. And now there is no one left to ask, he said. He was a wonderful friend. And accompanying this little article is a photograph of Charlie appropriately looking down at a beautiful array of poppies at Middleton House Gardens.
Protest over post office. Shop's closure is death by 1,000 cuts. Campaigners held a public protest to stop a post office from being turned into a shop. The day was held to oppose the firm's plans to franchise Haringey Crown Office in Green Lanes and was attended by Labour MP David Lammy. He joined residents, representatives of the Communication Workers Union and Labour Party councillors. If the franchising of the post office goes ahead, it will most likely be moved to the back of the store, meaning a reduction in size and staff. Crown offices are purposely built for public service, and franchising gives the store a secondary purpose, usually selling material goods. Steve Jones, who is a member of the Communication Workers Union, CWU, said, "It's clear residents and businesses are extremely angry at the possibility of this vital service being shoehorned into the back of a local shop. I was amazed to hear how fond people are of the staff. It appears the post office have embarked on a journey of death by 1,000 cuts." Crouch End, Muswell Hill, Finsbury Park, Lower Edmonton, Stamford Hill, Stoke Newington and Haringey are all listed for franchising. On March the 8th, a public meeting was attended by David Lammy, Labour Party members, CWU representatives, local council members and many people from the Haringey area. The purpose of the meeting was to raise profile and awareness in regards to the franchising of the Crown offices. If the franchise agreement is signed, the employees will have the option to either transfer to the new ownership or be redeployed to a branch up to 1 hour away, although the most prominent route taken after a Crown office has been franchised is voluntary redundancy. A CWU representative said, "The hope is that if there is high opposition against franchising here, it will discourage others from franchising." There is a photo of David Lammy and a Conservative councillor outside the post office with many members of the public holding up posters with a broken heart with post office written across it.
A trainee electrician has been named the region's best in the nation's most competitive skills, apprenticeship and careers event. Jordan Tomoff, 24, from Edmonton, won gold in the national qualifiers of the Construction and Infrastructure competition for the south of England. Jordan's victory qualifies him to compete in the national finals at Birmingham NEC in November. Jordan, who studies at the College of Haringey, Enfield and North East London, known as Connell, said, "I couldn't believe I had won. It took a whole day to sink in." The competition was exciting and the pressure was on to complete the project in a limited time, but I felt well prepared and was confident I would finish. To achieve the gold standard, the 3 electrical boards and circuits Jordan built in 5 hours had to excel in the critical eyes of an expert judgment panel from World Skills UK. Of his apprenticeship, Jordan said, "Every day is different and there are new problems to solve. I've gained a lot of experience and I'm grateful to my employers and tutors. Having this competition on my CV is a big step and could really give me the edge." Derek Munro, a lecturer in electrical installation at Connell, praised Jordan for his application and determination to improve his skills whilst training. He said, "He performed brilliantly in the WorldSkills UK competition, and I would like to congratulate him on his achievement at reaching the national finals." Connell runs construction industry apprenticeships, including bricklaying, carpentry and joinery, plumbing, as well as electrical installation.
Volunteers gain practical skills and experience in construction at the final community workshops to help transform an out-of-use Bright Blue studio complex into a creative hub this weekend. Activities the public were welcome to get involved in on Saturday at Blue House Yard, Wood Green High Street included painting, cladding, lining and joinery. Encouraging participation in the renovation of the site is part of the aim Jan Caton Architects and Meanwhile Space, together with High Street Works, has for its 5-year project of nurturing talent and boosting businesses. A spokesperson for High Street Works said, "The volunteering day was an opportunity to open the process up to the wider Wood Green community, giving locals the chance to pick up some construction skills and be involved in shaping a new public space in the town centre." At Blue House Yard, the building process is not just a means to an end. It helps to train 8 local carpentry apprentices from Cornell and allows us to extend the design process right into the construction phase, maybe in a slightly old-fashioned kind of way, harnessing design opportunities at every joint and every junction. Some of the new tenants have already moved into the studios and have started to customise and animate their workspaces accordingly, taking full advantage of the project's next phase of creative development.
Southgate Opera presents Verdi's Macbeth. 8 to the 10th of June, 7:30 p.m. Williott's Theatre, Potter's Bar, EN6 2HM. Tickets £18, £19, concessions available. Macbeth follows Shakespeare's tragedy of the same title pretty closely, though fans of the bard will notice that the 3 witches have expanded into a whole chorus. As opposition to this rule gains strength and his wife's guilt surfaces as mental illness, Verdi's music portrays the emotions of the characters in urgent dramatic action with an eerie supernatural atmosphere. To buy tickets, go to www.williotstheatre.co.uk or call 01707 645 005.
A new pop-up food market still has spaces available for traders. The Ponders End Recreation Ground pop-up market in South Place runs for 7 weeks from Saturday, June the 3rd. A launch party with free entertainment and a Tottenham Hotspur-style penalty shootout is planned for the opening day, running from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Enfield Council's Cabinet Minister for Economic Regeneration and Business, Councillor Alan Sitkin, said, "With the support of its residents, we are sure this market will be a huge success. It is also a great opportunity for local traders to drum up business and show off their wares." Enfield Council and Epicurean Events are working in partnership to run the market. Interested traders should email neighbourhoodregeneration@enfield.gov.uk.
Goodbye, George. Primary school bids farewell to retiring Governor, 96. After years of dressing up as Father Christmas and many more spent manning a stall at the summer fair, George Smith, 96, is retiring as a governor at an Enfield primary school. Mr. Smith of Monks Road, Enfield, contracted pneumonia in March and has been feeling his age ever since. So he's decided to retire from his 19-year role as governor at George Spicer School in Southbury Road. The full school held an assembly to say goodbye on Monday last week, and scores of children made him farewell cards. Mr. Smith, a printer by trade, said he would really miss them. He said, "Being a school governor has been a new lease of life for me. People complain about children, but that's not right. Children are an absolute tonic these days. They are wonderful, articulate, happy young things, and it's been a real pleasure." Mr. Smith has also been a volunteer at Cancer Research UK's charity shop for years in Enfield town. He worked at the London College of Printing in his youth, teaching printing techniques. He's looking forward to doing more gardening with his free time, but will still be called on to visit the school as a VIP. Head teacher Hilary Ballantyne said, "We'll all miss George. He's been a great friend to the school, but he'll be back." And there is a picture of George seated, surrounded by numerous children from the school with the cards that they've made for him.
And now an announcement for Chicken Shed, which has something for 0 to 6-year-olds. Tales from the Shed are on Fridays and Saturdays, plus half-term dates. And don't forget Tales Big Day Out on Saturday the 1st of July. You can call the box office on 020 8292 9222 or www.chickenshed.org.uk.
A minister who offers up his church as a place of refuge to homeless men is appealing for help in finding a bigger premises. Reverend Pastor Alex Giesi, dilapidated Highway of Holiness Church in a bleak industrialised South Tottenham back street, is respite for up to 50 men nightly, falling far short of demand. Bigger premises, whether in good state of repair or otherwise, would enable the pastor to put into action plans to reach out to a greater proportion of the homeless community he has been helping since 2007. The pastor said, "We at the church create an environment of love and acceptance for all, and this building means that we reluctantly have to turn homeless men away. And a bigger building would also enable the church to reach out to women, which we really want to do." Hospitals across London, including University College of London, East London and City Mental Health Trust, Guy's and St Thomas's and the Royal Free Hospital, often refer homeless men to the church, whatever their nationality, age or state of health. But no one else is helping these men, and we're constantly asked by Crisis, British Red Cross and Refugee Council to give space to men they can't house. I get an average of 3 calls a day from big charities. Police officers also give the church's address to homeless men public services cannot help. The pastor explained, "We work relentlessly with these men to resolve their problems, and the transformations I have witnessed are awe-inspiring. Men have gained hope and self-worth. Families have been reunited, marriages restored, and fathers have bonded with their long-lost children." To find out more, visit highwayofholiness.co.uk or contact info@highwayofholiness.co.uk or simply ring 0208 808 4444.
The N21 Festival Fancy Fair. Saturday, 8th of July, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. The Green, Winchmore Hill, London, N21. Free entry. Back by popular demand, bigger and better than ever. The hugely popular N21 Festival Fancy Fair will be held on Winchmore Hill, Green, on Saturday, 8th of July. Make sure that you and your loved ones are there to join in the entertainment, food and fun. The N21 Festival Fancy Fair can trace its roots back to Victorian times when a fancy fair was held with white tents and flags, bands and stalls full of wonderful collection of goods. The modern version evokes that same sense of people coming together to celebrate everything that is great about being part of the local community in Enfield. With a brilliant succession of live acts on the Tessa Stevens stage, an arts exhibition, a craft fair, food stalls, free kids activities and much, much more. This is going to be a brilliant day out for the whole family. And thanks to the University of Hertfordshire, all this will take place in a traffic-free, fun-filled, safe environment. The Fancy Fair will showcase the talents, skills, experience and abilities of local artists, entertainers, craftspeople, children's groups, caterers and businesses. Everyone will come together for a uniquely entertaining celebration of our local community. Be part of something great. For more information, www.n21festival.net, info@n21festival.net, 07979853520.
An inter-church rounders tournament between 4 churches that often work together on community projects has raised hundreds of pounds for Christian aid. Teams from Christchurch Southgate, St Mary the Virgin in East Barnet, St Andrews Southgate and All Saints Whetstone played each other at the start of Christian Aid Week, Sunday, May 14th at Oak Hill Park. A crowd of over 100 followers from all 4 churches witnessed All Saints Whetstone become victorious whilst making a considerable contribution to the charity, which supports refugees all over the world. Father Ed Turner, Vicar of St Andrews Southgate, said, "This was a fantastic afternoon of fun, fellowship and fundraising. With our church banners pitched in the park and our Christian Aid flag flying, we reached out to more people than we could hope to meet by door-to-door collections and had an amazing time doing so. We can't wait until next year. Good news indeed." A bring and share picnic and a refreshment stall, St Andrews Southgate, laden with delicious homemade cakes, made it an inclusive day. It is hoped that the Interchurch Rounders tournament will become an annual event. The tournament is the idea of Father Ed Turner, the Vicar of St Andrews Southgate, and the Reverend Dr. Gregory Platten. And accompanying this little story, there is a picture of the ladies at their cake stall. The cakes look delicious, and amazingly, all the ladies look slim. I don't know how those two are compatible, but it does work.
Toad Hall to play for. Stunningly brought to life in a spectacular new musical by Oscar-winning screenwriter and creator of Downton Abbey, Julian Fellowes, and Olivier Award-winning composer and lyricist George Stiles and Anthony Drew, The Wind in the Willows is the perfect summer treat, and we have 2 family tickets to give away. Actor, comedian and presenter Rufus Hound will play the amazing Mr. Toad, joined by West End stars Simon Lipkin as Rat and Craig Mather as Mole, EastEnders actor Neil McDermott as Chief Weasel, with Coronation Street and Boy Meets Girl star Denise Welch as Mrs. Otter, and West End legend Gary Wilmot as Badger. Featuring eye-poppingly beautiful design, exuberant choreography and a gloriously British score, The Wind in the Willows brings comedy, heart and thrills to the world-famous London Palladium from June. The show is running at the London Palladium in Argyle Street from June the 16th to September the 9th. Children go free on Monday to Friday performances. For details, visit willowsmusical.com. For your chance to win one of 2 family tickets, and a family ticket consists of a ticket for 2 adults and 2 children, and valid for the performances Monday to Friday, just answer the following question. Who wrote the novel The Wind in the Willows? Was it A. Lewis Carroll, B. Kenneth Grahame, or C. Beatrix Potter? Send your answers with your name, address, and a daytime phone number to Wind in the Willows Competition, North London and Essex News Limited, 187 Baker Street, Enfield, EN1 3JT. Or send your answer with contact details to competitions@nlhnews.co.uk with Wind in the Willows in the subject line by noon on June the 1st.
Champion boxer Floyd Mayweather certainly knows how to pack a punch. The American superstar and multiple world title winner was a big hit with fans in Lee Valley Athletics Centre in Meridian Way, Edmonton, when he dropped by for a bout of training. Mayweather, 40, who is rumoured to have signed a deal to fight UFC lightweight champion Conor McGregor, was at the centre for a training session with his protégé Gervonta Davis before the latter knocked out Liam Walsh at the Copper Box Arena in the Queen Elizabeth Olympic Park in East London on Saturday night to retain his IBF lightweight belt.
Police have responded to the sudden upsurge of knife crime by launching a programme to combat the issue. Operation Braymont will run independently and has been developed in conjunction with Enfield Local Authority to identify and prosecute those caught engaging in knife crime. There have been a total of 9 separate knife-related incidents in Enfield since Monday, April the 1st, which has resulted in 3 murder investigations. Detective Chief Superintendent Ian Raphael said, "Together as a community, we need to combat this issue. By working with schools, young people, parents and partners, we must make it totally socially unacceptable to carry a knife. We need our community to protect and support each other by letting us know who they believe carries a knife. Police officers are concerned about the rising number of incidents and the dangers posed to the Enfield public, and Operation Braymont will continue for the foreseeable future." Conservative candidate David Burrows has launched an anti-knife crime petition. Mr Burrows was MP for Enfield Southgate when he and fellow Conservative Nick Dubois introduced a law meaning automatic prison sentence for those twice convicted of carrying a knife. Mr Burrows believed judges are not doing enough to enforce Enfield's law, the title given to the anti-knife crime law, and is launching a campaign to gain public support for them to do more. On Mr Burrows' website, he says, "I require judges in England and Wales to enforce Enfield's law, and to read his petition, visit his website at www.davidburrows.com/knife crime." And here are 2 letters on this sorry subject again. First from Councillor Crystal Fonyonge, Cabinet Member for the Community Safety and Public Health. Our thoughts are with the families and friends of the victims of the spate of knife crime. While knife crime is in London-wide issues, last week's Walk of Peace shows that our strong local communities continue to pull together in the face of these atrocities. Enfield Council remains committed to supporting the police to do everything it can to target knife crime and tackle this scourge. This includes fully supporting the police's Operation Braemont to tackle knife and violent crime in Enfield through a wide variety of means, such as increasing use of CCTV, more patrols, and the use of stop and search in areas experiencing knife crime. While we appreciate this can be seen as intrusive, the police priority at this difficult time has to be the protection of life. And while the Council continues to prioritise community safety, even funding additional police for our estates despite massive cuts in local authority funding, it is an absolute scandal that the government continues to cut Met Police funding at a time when knife crime is on the increase. We have heard a lot about strong and stable leadership over the past few weeks, but surely this should start at home with the right levels of investment in our police force to enable them to provide the safe and secure communities we deserve. And finally, here's a letter from Benjamin Gill, who's the Green Party candidate for Edmonton. Knife crime is truly reprehensible and disproportionately afflicts the least privileged in society. We must therefore focus on what works. Last year saw a 24% increase in knife crime. Knee-jerk increased incarceration is clearly not working. Action on schools is welcome, with the police still suffering the effects of deep cuts. Local people with real experience could sensibly be used instead. Better then to focus on the causes of crime. Young people have been gravely affected by austerity, with the scrapping of the EMA and real term cuts to youth services for the 16 to 17 in education. Only ensuring education, employment, and economic security for all will we get to the heart of this sorry problem.
Here's a story about Winchmore Hill. When the hamlet of Winchmore Hill was first recorded in 1319, its main industry was selling firewood sourced from the oak forest nearby. When the train line arrived in 1871, all that changed and it became established as a London suburb. But unlike many of its surrounding areas, Palmer's Green, Edmonton, Southgate and Grange Park, modern Winchmore Hill retains a village feel, with shops and restaurants gathered around the green, a conservation area and beauty spots. There's a lot on the green to enjoy. The larder is a cafe not to be missed. Pretty English is set back from the green and sells quirky lamps, gorgeous baby clothes and novel cards. Down the hill is Bike Boutique, a cafe bike repair shop and all-round holy grail for cyclists in North London. The Winchmore in Winchmore Hill Road has changed owners and is now a lovely place for great food and gin evenings, with a fabulous menu and even a real pizza oven. But it's not just the eateries and shops. There's Grovelands Park, a stunning park originally a private estate before being partly sold off to the council in 1913. The park remaining in private hands now contains the Priory Clinic and laid out by the great landscape designer Humphrey Repton late in the 18th century. Winchmore Hill Sports Club provides the area with cricket, football, tennis, hockey and table tennis facilities and teams. Although just 8 miles north of Moorgate on the Hertford Loop railway line, it feels a million miles away from the hustle and bustle of the city and is a beautiful place to while away a lazy afternoon.
Here's a letter from the area fundraising manager for London of the British Heart Foundation. Her name, Joan Howe. Every year, heart and circulatory disease kills about 13,500 people in London, and currently 716,000 people in the city are living with its burden. The need to find new ways to prevent, diagnose and treat these terrible conditions is more urgent than ever. That's why I'm calling on everyone to take part in the British Heart Foundation's Wear It, Beat It campaign and join thousands of others across the UK on Friday the 9th of June by wearing red and holding a fundraising event to help us stop heart disease in its tracks. From a bake sale or a coffee morning at work to red-themed garden party with friends and family, whatever you choose to do, Wear It, Beat It is a great way to bring everyone together and help make a difference to millions. You will also be helping the British Heart Foundation fund even more You will also be helping the British Heart Foundation fund even more cutting-edge breakthroughs that will help end the devastation caused by heart disease. Last year, more than 15,000 people took part in Wear It, Beat It, raising more than £750,000. To sign up and receive a free fundraising pack full of ideas about how to get involved, visit wearitit.bhf.org.uk. And following that letter, here's another. This time it's from the Chief Executive, Jill Harrison, who is the Chief Executive of Enfield CAB, Citizens Advice Bureau. I'm writing to let your readers know that we have made it easier to get through to Enfield Citizens Advice by telephone. The queues on our doorstep get longer each day, and space means that we can't always see everyone. But we have put extra phone lines on, supported by a big lottery fund grant. Do telephone us if you need advice. You can call us on 0300 330 1167 on Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m, plus one Saturday every month, and that Saturday date will be on our website at www.enfieldcab.org.uk. If you call from a mobile, the service will ask you for a landline number to make sure you are in Enfield. If you don't have one, use 020 8375 4170. It's usually a bit easier to get through in the afternoons. If you would prefer to email us, you can do it via our website.
And now a cricket report. North Enfield see off Datchworth in a game plagued with rain. North Enfield proved the victors in a closely fought contest against Datchworth. Winning the toss, Datchworth opted to bat first, much to the surprise of the North Enfield changing room. Unfortunately, the inevitable rain began to dictate proceedings, with play suspended after 6 overs at 26 for 3. One of these wickets fell to a fine catch by Lawrence Marsh. After the swift introduction of covers to protect the playing surface, the umpires called for an early tea in an effort to waste as little time as possible. The tactic worked, and the match was reduced to 33 overs per side. Upon resumption, Datchworth lost regular wickets and were restricted to 106. They were much indebted to one key player who scythed his way to a busy 40. The Enfield chase began perilously, losing early wickets. However, Derek Sanders, promoted up the order in an attempt to up the run rate, raced to 57. With the score at 94 for 3, an extraordinary collapse, losing 4 wickets without another run on the board, left Enfield in trouble. But A.V. Khan's bold performance allowed Enfield to crawl over the line with 8 overs and 2 wickets to spare.
Union leader Kevin Courtney was due to join concerned parents and teachers from Enfield this week to speak out against cuts in school funding. Mr. Courtney, General Secretary of the NUT, the largest teachers' union in Europe, was expected at a meeting at St Luke's Church in Browning Road, Enfield, this week, along with Maureen Cobbett, head teacher of Latimer, a selective secondary school in Hazelbury Road, Edmonton. The meeting was part of a national parent-led campaign fighting cuts to school funding, fair funding for all schools. Schools in Enfield are facing a loss of £27 million in funding by 2019. The Fair Funding for All Schools campaign has been set up by a group of parents in an attempt to force government ministers to listen to concerns about the worsening financial situation facing schools across the country.
Visitors to Forty Hall had a taste of 19th century England when they donned chiffon dresses, bonnets and white gloves and took part in a Regency dance. The long gallery at the 17th century house in Forty Hill, Enfield, was transformed with classical musicians and dancers as part of a Jane Austen weekend, celebrating the life of the novelist 200 years after the anniversary of her death. Forty Hall spokeswoman Victoria Sanderson said, "The dance workshop encouraged people to step back in time to learn the popular dances of Jane Austen's era, as taught by expert Anne Day. And participants learnt basic steps and figures for the long ways country dances of the day and new waltzes and experienced uplifting music from the era. The Regency dance was popular in Austen's fiction, as in many novels of the 19th century, and the ball was the ultimate social occasion." Other highlights of the weekend were a still life and flower painting workshop and a talk delivered by local study guide Joe Studman about Enfield in the time of Jane Austen, as well as a classical music concert entitled Songs, Airs and Dances from the Jane Austen's Notebooks. Austen's use of biting irony, along with her realism and social commentary, have made her books hugely popular. The Bank of England has confirmed that Jane Austen will be appearing on the new polymer £10 note, due to be released in September.
Time's running out if you want an allotment. Residents are being urged to hurry if they want to become an allotment holder, as there are only a few vacant plots remaining to rent in the borough's 30 sites. Enfield Council says there has been a surge of interest in people growing their own vegetables and snapping up plots. The vacancies that exist are at Elliott's Field allotment in Aspen Way, Freezy Water, Carter Hatch Lane allotment at Enfield Playing Fields, Church Street, and that's Church Street 4 and Church Street 2. In Great Cambridge Road between Berry Street and Church Street, Edmonton. And finally at Weir Hall allotment in Great Cambridge Road, Edmonton.
Save Our Heritage. A conservation society which campaigns to rescue 19th century and Edwardian buildings of historic importance is fighting to save a part of Haringey's heritage from demolition. The Victorian Society is determined to stop bus company Go Ahead from bulldozing Longwater Pumping Station in Marsh Lane, Northumberland Park, as part of its expansion plans. Campaigners believe that the pumping station is irreplaceable and should be preserved as a testament to the area's history. Alex Bowring, conservation advisor for the Victorian Society, said, "Go Ahead are putting their expansion needs above the importance of an important feature of the local scene and should think again." The Society is calling for Haringey Council to intervene by serving an Article 4 notice, which means developers need to gain planning consent. Planning permission is not currently needed because demolition rather than development is proposed. Red-bricked Longwater Pumping Station is 125 years old and is neither a nationally listed building nor in a conservation area, which makes it attractive to developers. Go Ahead have had one application for demolition refused on the grounds of insufficient information for the restoration of the site.
Rising football star Jessica Ngunga has set her sights on playing on the hallowed Wembley turf after getting a taste of the ground as a guest for the SSE Women's FA Cup final. The 16-year-old from Enfield is on the books at Arsenal, representing her country at under-17 level, and is one of 50 athletes currently being supported by SSE as part of the company's Next Generation programme. Ngunga was one of the athletes given an exclusive behind-the-scenes tour of Wembley Stadium before the final, which saw Manchester City beat Birmingham City 4-1. The teenager believes that the experience of going behind the scenes at Wembley has spurred her on to try and emulate the stars. It's a special moment for me. I could be playing here one day. I've been here a few times, but I haven't been that close to the pitch, said Ngunga. Since 2013, SSE is proud to make a difference to young people, their families and their communities by investing in the future of sporting talent through the SSE Next Generation scheme. Keep up to date at Your SSE.
And here's a very topical letter from Jim Blake of North London Transport History Group in Palmer's Green. What a shambles the Green Lane cycle lanes are turning out to be. Leaving aside the obvious disruptions to businesses and other traffic along the route, we now see young trees along green lanes between Hedge Lane and Barrow Green being chopped down to make way for it. I thought one of the objectives of encouraging cycle was to help the environment. Don't trees also do this at far less cost and inconvenience? And where are all the cyclists? On Saturday, I saw 2 people cycling on the pavement along green lanes and a family of 4, all kitted out in high-vis jackets, cycling against the flow in that part of green lanes where the lanes are complete. And these are by no means the only cyclists to be seen cycling the wrong way along the lanes that are placed both sides of the road. Likewise, a squad of cyclists were to be seen cycling in the lanes meant for motor vehicles and ignoring the newly completed cycle lanes. As a senior citizen who has never driven and who relies on public transport, my main concern about this fiasco has always been the effect on bus services. I have been outraged to see that thanks to repositioning as a result of the cycle lanes, an apparently permanent new zebra crossing outside Winchmore Hill Sainsbury's cuts right across the supposedly reserved space for buses to stop there. Indeed, thanks to the alignment of all this, buses cannot pull into the curb at all without obstructing the zebra crossing. Hard luck to anyone like myself who is getting on in years and is consequently mobility impaired. Surely the crossing and the buses obstructing each other is a recipe for disaster and may well be downright illegal. It is outrageous that at a time of supposed austerity, so much public money is being wasted on this scheme, just as it was that so many millions of pounds were worth of public money was wasted on the so-called new route master buses. And who was largely behind both of these things? Boris Johnson.
And finally, we have a secret announcement. Our reader Dorothy will be celebrating her 11th birthday on May the 27th. So here's an advance happy birthday, Dorothy. And thank you for reading with us tonight. We've reached the end of our programme for this week. Thank you for listening. So from the team of Sonia, Jenny, Roz, Dorothy, and Ian on the controls, it's goodbye.
Goodbye.
Please remember to turn over the address label in your postal packet. Put the memory stick into the packet and return it to us as soon as possible, in readiness for the next edition. And don't forget, you can call Diane de Jersey regarding any help you may require in connection with the Enfield Talking newspaper on 020 8805 6578. Coming up next, the latest news and information for the Greater London area from InfoSound. The Enfield Talking newspaper will be with you again in 1 week's time.